Yeah, he had a big job in Oregon, around 50,000 square foot facility. And I got a message from him saying, hey, you want to come do this job with me? And I was like, I live 5 minutes away. Let's go.
Yeah.
And since that day, I've been working with him
What were you doing at the time when he called you?
Pro BMXer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So you didn't even have a day job, I guess.
No, a couple of hoop houses in Oregon and all that. So
hell yeah. That's cool, man. And for people that don't know, environmental controls or don't know the terminology you guys are using, you basically set up controls to water and take care of plants.
Everything from AC, lights, fans, DUs, all the above.
Nice.
Simple automation.
Which is super important this day and age in controlled environments because we're mimicking whatever perfect environment, we want the cannabis plant to be. And the thing that always, people can look you guys up, but the things that always stands out about your company is how clean you guys run your lines. And a lot of, Jesh would definitely appreciate it, his OCD side, but a lot of, people would really appreciate the way you guys run and the way you guys run the flow of your lines. They're not just, not thought out water lines everywhere. I mean, it's a clean system, much like an electrician that, really cares about his work and how he runs his conduit. That's what it reminds me of is your setups are beautiful. You guys even like run LED lights for show and stuff behind them, huh?
We like to have fun with it.
Yeah, no, I love it. And at the end of it, when you guys finish an install, it looks good. It's beautiful. And the company that had you do it is obviously wants to show it off.
Oh, yeah. For example, was like Sandia and Brintley and those guys, they kind of let us in there and just let us do our thing. I noticed that they were doing a little collab with you guys at the Berkeley Vice. And so we went in there and we just kind of like did the whole setup and just to have fun with it. We threw some LEDs behind it, did the pink and the teal and whatnot. And I don't know, just whenever we show the client, whenever we're done with it, it just kind of gives them something fun. And it's super cheap and just spice it up.
The works in how you guys line it up and the products you use. But yeah, adding some lights isn't probably much at all, but it makes the whole thing look so professional and so, Starfleet level, you know what I mean? And that's cool. I think more and more grows are going towards having a clean, professional, spaceship looking facility. And I think you guys offer that, not to mention automation's huge. I mean, for any of you guys hand watering out there, what they do is a whole nother level. Have you seen people, obviously, become more profitable from automating?
Oh, by far. Really, a lot of people go with the side of, hand watering is natural and you're in tune with your plants and this plant needs more than this one and all that. And I could understand that, on some of the smaller scale, more control if you have a little room yourself and so on. But a lot of these guys, they're commercial cultivators. They're not necessarily trying to babysit that one plant or this or that. They're trying to go for numbers. This is their livelihood.
When you almost don't want the plants that you have to babysit. I mean, when you're commercial growing, you want genetics that fucking fall in line. And I mean, you hear growers constantly taking something out of their stable that just isn't in line with everything else. It takes, too long to grow, is finicky, takes too much water, takes too little water. Because when you're dealing with the line of soldiers, everybody's kind of got to get the same fucking shit. Nobody, gets the time for that extra treatment.
Can't special treatment 1 out of 600.
Yep. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about, what got you into running, environmental controls for big commercial indoor grows. That's crazy.
Back to high school, really. It all starts with BMX, essentially. This whole picture, my whole life is revolved around little kids' bikes, but
that's cool. No.
Some of the good friends that we had in our little high school crew, long story short, we ended up doing car stereo and whatnot together, and they got all into cannabis, and we did our business and did our deeds with it. And long story short, he came down and he worked for me doing car stereo, one of our, original BMX friends from high school. We kind of went our separate ways once we, got girlfriends and all that. One day he calls me and he says, "Hey, get your butt up here. I got investors and we're going hard in Oregon." He had spent some time in Denver prior. And
get your butt up here from New Mexico.
Yeah.
Okay.
And let's be real, is at the time, like, I had a house, kids, really good job. I worked for New Mexico Gas. So, I mean, I couldn't really freaking, combine the two.
Yeah.
So I told the wife what was going on. She said, "Let's go." And so literally we lived in a barn or above a barn that was a grow, and moved our lives up there. And long story short, we ended up getting really commercialized, and the whole industry basically tore me apart. And I got stuck in a room and basically lost my mind.
Yeah.
I had to come back to New Mexico and gain my sanity. And we left Oregon with a good sense of accomplishment and got a lot of good skill and value. But we came back to New Mexico and just had to restructure. But cannabis was such a big part of our life. Whenever we got here, everybody kind of knew what we did in Oregon and our past. And so I got an opportunity from...
How'd they know? Just word of mouth? Or you were...
Instagram,
yeah, you
friends,
were posting
all
it.
that.
Okay, cool.
And so a lot of the guys that I knew just from online in the community was like looking for people to help. So I got a call from one of my good friends, Seth Lee, from what was High West out in Denver.
Okay.
They say, "Get your butt up here. I don't have a whole lot of money, but we'll get you started. And by the time you're done, I'll have you another job." I went up there, lived in the back of my truck for a month or two and got the job done. And by the time I was done with that job, I had 3 others lined up, and it just snowballed. So,
all indoor grows.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, no. And I'm sure people, so many people are wondering how they get into the industry. How do they find their niche? Even just people that want to be entrepreneurs, are wondering, how do I figure it out? How do I do something, that's outside of my 9 to 5? So, you just said it, just how did these environmental controls, how did you learn that? How did you get into environmental controls?
Well, okay, let's take it back to high school again with BMX and all that. All my friends used to go work for me in the summer because I used to run a crew for my dad's company. We did landscape irrigation, stormwater, all that.
There you go.
So the clients that we had was Walmart, Lowe's, Hobby Lobby, Home Depot. So I learned commercial irrigation, just, toss to the dogs real quick.
Yeah. As a teenager.
Yes.
That's
and
cool.
Then
okay.
Later on the side of like professional pipe fitting and credentials, OQs, certifications, all that is like a previously mentioned New Mexico Gas. Really got advanced in, a professional career there. And then that's whenever I got that call to go to Oregon. And
that's cool. So you took all the experience and knowledge you had from different professional industries, and you figured out a way to make them work in a cannabis niche.
Right.
That's huge.
Well, so whenever I got that call, they knew my background. And like I said, it was a previous person that I had helped out. He said, "Get up here, let's do this." Well, I was essentially the grower for that corporation. And obviously, as you're the grower, you need people to do these. Well, I just kept doing everything. And so by default, getting into the industry early and having put myself with all these different components.
Becoming a task monster.
Yeah. You just handle stuff yourself and you learn the system. So whenever I ended up leaving Oregon and I came back to New Mexico, everybody knew that I had already set up those systems prior. And so that's whenever it just kind of snowballed. And then whenever I finally got those jobs, I thought back on it and I said, you know what? There's nobody in this industry that's really just doing this.
Yeah.
So I got a hold of manufacturers and said, you know what? Let's create installer training program. Let's have my name on your website when people go and buy your product.
That's huge.
So now I don't even have to do anything. I'm just, people go to those manufacturers' websites, boom.
And so that's where probably a lot of your out-of-state work comes from now.
All of it.
Because you guys have been, all over. You're really modest about it, but you've worked and done controls in some of the biggest grows in the country, right?
We've been around the block a few times.
Yeah.
Really, like I say, it was getting in early to those manufacturers, telling them, look, I'm the one. And really, I was relentless, man. I wouldn't freaking let up.
I love that.
I was one of the first ones to push Trollmaster and Think Grow and all those guys. Same thing with like agritech and all those. We got to have fun with it. We go up there, go do their training programs, and take a couple days off, and get some education.
That's fucking cool, man. And as a as a fellow New Mexican that's been, outside of New Mexico, and in my opinion, gained experiences in different parts of the country and brought it back to New Mexico. I think that's awesome. I think a lot of people live in like the New Mexico bubble and don't necessarily venture outside of New Mexico, don't collaborate with people outside of New Mexico. And it's not conducive to innovation, to pushing the state to the next level.
Right.
So I really think that's cool that you've brought your talents back to New Mexico. And yeah, any commercial grow, if they can afford you, you know what I mean, can bring you in and have the same level facility as Miami Mango, you know what I mean, or some of these greats that you've already done facilities for. And so that's really cool that you brought that back to New Mexico. I think that's a common, almost like, problem with talented New Mexicans, is they don't bring anything back to New Mexico. They take their talents elsewhere, and they're like, yeah, made it out the hood kind of mentality. I'm not going to look back.
Right.
Not that New Mexico itself is a hood, but just that mentality of, that's my hometown.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I think that's cool that you've come back to your, to the state and are blessing us with, some skill and some, like I said, beautiful work.
Thank you.
I wish we were super advanced and we could pull up, some of the pictures of your work, because that's what really speaks volume is the way you guys, I'll say it again, the way you guys lay the pipe, just, is, spot on, dude. And that, now that I think about it, from the gas industry, like you said, and different piping, I've seen Intel, the way they pipe Intel out and different stuff like that. When you start to see there's a certain standard to commercial facilities. And I think a lot of cannabis guys overlook that. They're like, the closet boys, as we've called them in other episodes. But, when they come out of that closet and, and go into a commercial grow, they, bring some of those closet tendencies into the commercial grow. And if you're going fucking commercial, you know what I mean? And you're going to do something professionally, clean, whatever, you got to do it right.
Yep.
And there's a reason fucking Intel pipes their shit this way. And there's a reason you guys pipe your stuff the way you do and the way you run your controls, is because at the end of the day, you need a area that A, can be taken serious, B, has form and function, and C, can produce an efficient product over and over and over again.
That was so spot on, honestly, because we use our manufacturers we work with here in Albuquerque, work with Intel as well. So we use a lot of things that Intel actually uses. So that's a funny thing. And a lot of our clients also say like every other trade will step up their game when we are on site.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've seen it, man. And like I said, you guys are obviously the first, the first cannabis tradesmen, I guess I'll call you guys, that we've had in. But, I'm a former tradesman. I got a ton of respect for the trades. And when I've seen your work, like I said, that's why I followed you. I'm not even a grower, but I followed you because I'm like, damn, this guy's shit's clean. And then I'm like, oh, look at who he's working for. And I recognized and had worked with a lot of names that you've worked with out of state. Excuse me. And it was really cool to, you know what I mean? When I met up with you and seen you just the other day, I was like, yeah, I got to get this guy on. It's a new thing that, people don't realize is a part of you guys are just as big of a part of the cannabis industry as I am, and so I don't think people see that, like, you can be a tradesman, entrepreneur, come up with fucking something that's niche for cannabis and make a living doing it and be an integral part in our industry.
Yep.
So, yeah, no.
I mean, coming from the growing aspect, it's definitely something we love and we do. It definitely, paid my bills for a long time. Same with him. But people got to understand, whenever you're in the commercial industry, you got to make things clean, simple, and functional. And so, like, this guy is like, anything that we do, he can go in and he could fix, or he could tell you how to fix it, or so it's to where it's serviceable by anybody. So in a situation that
so he's more than just a BMX rider.
Oh yeah, no,
he's being modest.
I just mean like any of the systems that we do, we make it so simple that any person could go in and freaking service it, or if they have a leak or whatever.
It makes sense. It's smart. The systems are smart.
Laid out.
Yeah. No, that's dope, man. And I, like I said, I've been blown away by you guys' work. I'm super excited to have you guys in. And it's so shitty nowadays that like, I think the trades are getting shit on with this generation. You know, there's a certain focus that's being taken off, you know, what it is to be a tradesman, what it is to be. And for those of you guys that don't know that word or whatever, electrician, HVAC, plumber, pipe fitter, fucking, you know, you name it, carpenter, fabricator, you know, stonemason, anything like that, a welder, whatever. There's such a shitty, like, you know, separation between, you know, that A, as a need right now in our society, and then B, as like, you know, as an importance. I think that the newer generations are completely overlooking how important those things are.
Yeah, indeed. It like you say, it's so hard to find anybody these days right now as a tradesman. Yeah. I told my kids, I said, you know what? I'll pay for you guys to go to trade school, but I'm not going to pay for a college degree. And so that's up to them. And well, like this guy is like, once you find somebody, you freaking reel them in as hard as you can. You know, I was on the job in Oregon, and like I say, is from that point forward, I told him, all right, you're working with me. Anytime I had a job, we would go out of state. We'd be doing that job 2-3 weeks at a time. I'd just fly them in and fly them home. And so
it was worth it to have that reliable.
Yes.
And you look young. You look super young.
Yeah. 27.
Okay.
Getting there, but
dude, most 20-year-olds nowadays can't use hand tools.
And that's what I'm saying.
I mean, just basic hand tools, much less, you know, do what you guys are.
When I grabbed him, he's never glued pipe before in his life.
Yeah, I'd never done irrigation, and he's taught me everything. And from the first,
just picked it up real well.
Yeah, well, somebody's just willing to learn and that just doesn't have their head up their ass. Yeah, so, you know.
The rest of the generation out there, fucking listen up, man.
Just be willing to learn.
Well, eventually, the old fucks, we fade out.
For sure.
And if the new generation doesn't know how to build, doesn't know how to fabricate, doesn't know how to maintenance, what the fuck?
Yeah,
you know?
You're screwed. Well, if you think about it, if you could handle those simple little plumbing or electrical or whatever tasks, those guys are the guys that you pay $100 an hour to. Yeah. So if you can do that simple light switch or whatever in the house, ceiling fan or whatnot, you're saving yourself $100 an hour on the minimum.
Yep.
Plus a service fee and all that. So.
Yeah. No, I think you're going to see like there's going to be a turn and there's going to be a new focus. Well, and honestly, in my generation was the one that took shop class and welding class and auto shop out of schools, you know, I mean, not us, but you know, I guess the adults of our generation.
Oh yeah.
They decided that wasn't important in school. Yeah. And I don't know, maybe it was making too many fucking entrepreneurs. You know what I mean? Maybe they're like, fuck, we need more workers. Cut this shit out. Stop teaching them how to work on their
teachers realized those kids were making more than they were.
And so, yeah, no, I think there's going to be a huge turn. And I think when that turn happens, tradesmen are going to make the best wages in the country. You know, a HVAC plumber guy is going to be, like you said, you know, in that high dollar range. You know what I mean? Just as the labor, much less calling a company out to have you do it, but just the labor is going to be so fucking high.
Yeah, because
there's going to be such a rare amount of people that know how to do it.
And I will agree to that. and like you said, the cleanliness, the quality, the reputation that we do have too. And I ain't gonna lie, he's not cheap. I'm not cheap.
Yeah.
I like, you know, to live a decent life. He likes to live a decent life. We like cars and bikes and stuff like that. So, you know, we get paid pretty well to do what we do. We don't live no crazy lavish lifestyle, but we have the things we need to do. We got a super nice van full of tools, and we have anything that you could ever dream of.
You guys have a beautiful setup. That's one thing too. When you see you guys pull up, your rig's nice. Everything's clean. You guys are super organized. That's another thing that really stands out, and I think is, directly ties into the way your work looks, for sure. Yeah, for sure. So what's next? What's next on your guys' plans?
We've actually been doing some really good product development with some of our manufacturers, and they kind of noticed that, hey, look, these guys are going out there and they're just, I think we're one of the most consistent, if not the most consistent install crew that there is, period, in the cannabis industry, as far as this is what we do, 7 days a week most times.
So you guys are going to have your own products. So Propagation Solution products, that
we have our own little like drop and drain kits and like just dumb little stuff like that. It just helps.
That's huge.
Well, it helps the in-grower. So like if you're a home grower and you're like, I got a bench and I just want to go from the wall with the solenoid down to the bench and I need all the parts and pieces. Well, a normal person, they don't know all the bits and pieces and where to get it and this and that. You get one of our kits, slap it all together, and you just get one kit for each table or however many you got. So
that's super smart.
But more so, what I'm talking about is we are, like I say, we have a good relationship with a lot of the manufacturers of the systems that we install. I can't say a whole lot, but we're doing a lot of product development with them.
So might we see Propagation Solution branded stuff, out in the control field,
or at least designed by? Or,
That's going to be cool. That's super cool, man, and that's really smart that you've made that connection and networked to have the ability to to look at those options and not just be doing the installs, but actually be innovating and helping make things better.
Well, we've been doing this since 2016 as far as cannabis build outs from start to finish. We've been going just in Albuquerque, based in Albuquerque the past 2 years, but we still have been traveling. Like I said, in all of December, we spent the whole month in Oregon. From there, it just depends on who's calling and who it is. Sometimes the bigger guys, we kind of make exceptions for, special trips or whatever, but we like to help out our local guys. And we do try to realize that a lot of the local guys, they live in reality and whatnot. So we try to like have some, homie pricing in town and stuff like that. Just keeping everybody happy.
Yeah. So what's the biggest difference you're seeing in the New Mexico industry right now, as opposed to some of the other industries you've worked in, as far as cannabis wise?
New Mexico is still in its infancy.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be learned, and especially for, let's be real. So any of the commercial operators in New Mexico, if they're from New Mexico, they've only have 2 years of operating experience commercially. So that's where you'll see a lot of like the home grow or closet techniques brought into the commercial industry that essentially are like, what is going on?
Well, there was a handful of medical producers.
Oh, sure.
But not
the
not
dirty
many.
dozen.
The dirty 30 or whatever.
Yep.
I think it was like 20 some at the end of the day because they all sucked in and bought each other. And, that circle jerk. But no, you're right though.
Facts.
So if the majority of commercial grows right now are in their infancy, a couple years in. If they're lucky.
Yes.
Well, you've got a lot of grows, and you probably know this because you're installing work on them or have dates to install work. You have a lot of pretty big grows that are going up now.
Oh yeah.
And people aren't slowing down. Are you seeing the same thing? Obviously, well, you probably see it before I do.
Oh yeah. I can't really speak a whole lot of the future projects, but
there's definitely people coming into the game.
There's some big ones popping up.
Okay.
Some really cool designed ones from Plum Dog Millionaire. He does a lot of irrigation designs. There's one of those popping up here.
Nice.
But yeah, there's some really cool stuff.
In
the works. But yeah.
Nice. No, I love to hear it. I think that's super cool that, like I said, you've worked with so many people in mature markets, and what's the biggest grow you've worked on to date? Square footage.
Wait, are you talking New Mexico?
No. Period.
True Leaf. Yeah, we did some work for True Leaf. That was out of Florida.
How many square foot are we talking?
The corporation alone is like millions.
Millions of square feet?
Yes.
Wow.
I don't know the actual stats, but I mean,
so you just ran miles
We did
miles of pipe.
Not specifically.
Yeah, okay.
We did a couple testing rooms.
Okay. So you did some smaller stuff for them, but the facility was massive.
Oh my goodness, yeah. But we've done multiple 10-room facilities. We've done
Sawmill here in town has a pretty large facility.
Yeah,
10-room facility, all double tier.
nice.
Me and him did that whole one.
He did all of this one in Clovis that was all double stacked in Agritech and went basically by himself.
Fauna Society.
Vana's got a pretty big grow too, huh?
Yeah.
And then he knocked off all of Don Verde.
Nice.
Yeah.
Green Paradise down.
So you guys have worked with most of the larger grows in our state alone.
Any of them that have automation for the most part. 9 out of 10 of them.
That's cool. No, and that's why like I said, I think you guys are kind of like some of the unsung heroes in the industry. Because, so many people are consuming plants that were grown with your systems, and that you guys had help in, setting up, however you want to say it. But that's cool. I think that's an integral part. And I don't even think people realize it, that it goes that far into it.
So like a lot of these guys, they're transitioning into these systems and such, and we've been able to get them to certain goals that are, 4 pounds of light and plus. Like Sandia Botanicals, those guys do amazing with their system. But
what are the biggest benefits of automation?
Let's be real here. So the plants. The only reason we know as much as we do about the plants is because we love it. We've spent our time and effort to get this far. Automation basically keeps the plant exactly where it wants to be at all times, between the environment for the vapor pressure deficit or the heat, humidity, and CO2, and then also its moisture content within the substrate. So as the plants go throughout the day, they're drinking, and from their moisture content within the substrate, we're trying to keep them right in their prime level. Rather than if we drench them all at once, like feeding in the morning, and we don't feed for the next day or even later on, those plants are kind of waterlogged, and then they pick back up, and then they're kind of dying back off. And so the whole point of automation is to basically keep those plants exactly where they want to be consistently.
And with doing that in optimal levels, you'll create the largest plant possible, or whatever.
They're always in their
best
prime.
Plant possible, best terps. It's the healthiest, the best that plant can be.
It's the
because
healthiest.
Of perfect conditions.
Exactly.
Okay. No, that's awesome. That's an awesome explanation for it, and I'm glad you just explained that for people that are like, who are these guys? What are they talking about? But you know what I mean? Because that's cool, man.
I will say we are kind of known in this industry because we do a lot of salt-based systems and dosatrons and all that. We do every single fertigation system there is, from dosatrons to Agritech to
Anderson injectors.
And so for people that don't know, when you say salts and these water systems, a lot of people don't realize that the optimal way a lot of these people are keeping these plants at their levels is by taking clean reverse osmosis water, low ppm water, and pumping it full of nutrient salts and different types of salts to balance it the way the optimal health of the plant wants it.
For the most part, yes.
Yeah.
Basically, the salt-based is just dry solubles. Rather than having a liquid-based nutrient that is shipped and it's a lot of water weight and so on, obviously in the commercial sense, you need something that's bagged that's commercial viable as far as shipping and so on. So what you do is you take that, you make a concentrate, and then now you have your liquid product that you will either hand mix or inject.
Okay. Yeah. So for those for those that didn't know, because a lot of people don't know, a lot of people don't understand the term salt and stuff like that. But yeah, no, it's interesting to see. So do you do mostly grows like that, or do you do a lot of soil grows as well? And just
we'll do it all, but mostly, the guys that are really commercialized, obviously, they're salt based or growers. And two, if a lot of people don't understand, you're salty. Well, guess what? organics don't really work very well in an irrigation system.
Yeah.
So that is what it is. This is my world that I live in, as I provide for commercial, cultivators. So I gotta.
Well, and people need to realize that too, that, as much as people want to say, yeah, they want to only smoke soil grown or whatever, they have this whole concept about how their weed should be grown. At the end of the day, people have to look at it from a business side.
Yeah.
And, and from an optimal efficiency side, companies are going to grow to that.
Yeah.
They're going to grow to whatever the best product they can get, and the best efficient ways they can get it.
Exactly.
And like you said, just, microbial content and all the different stuff that you deal with soil and everything else. It's a hard thing to do commercially over and over and over again.
Yeah. And no,
especially indoor.
Yeah, exactly. And no hate on any of these guys. I mean, the guys that pull it off, like Carver and those guys, oh my God, he does very well.
Yeah.
But it's very hard on a
hard to do on a grand scale.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
I mean, more power to the guys that can.
And I think most of them, that are in reality realize that. You know what I mean? You can only do it to so big of a scale. I won't name names, but, I recently heard of a grow that, a company, took over, or whatever, bought out another company.
Mm-hmm.
And when they got to the grow, it just, not a lot of stuff could make it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And they were really sad because there was a lot of, original strains that this, company, had a following for, but at the end of the day, there was problems there that couldn't be fixed.
Right.
And I don't think a lot of people that are on the outside of the, growing spectrum really know about that and understand any of that. But, if you don't do things right and you don't keep a tight ship and you don't have control of everything you're doing, you can lose everything for a fucking multitude of reasons.
We could build you a sweet race car. You got to be a sweet ass driver, though.
Exactly. So, as these companies venture into getting bigger and bigger and bigger, that means more and more money. So it's more and more important that it doesn't fuck up, and that you have control of everything. So no, that's
speaking of
that's cool.
Big problems. I'm curious. I have a question. What is, without revealing any kind of special tech or anything like that, what's the most complex problem you guys have solved on an existing grow or during construction of a new one?
Just with the fucking good questions.
Whoa, all right. Justin,
or your favorite solution.
Yeah.
Your favorite, you know how it feels to solve a problem. So there's a high to it. So
I love the simple solutions, man. That I live my life by the KISS method and keep it clean, man.
Our valve selection that we've created for blending recipes or the ability to run RO water or the fresh water or run the nutrient line to each room.
So you have a manifold.
We created a manifold that we use almost on every grow to keep it very simple and
nice.
It works great.
I'm curious how feedback plays into your automation, because obviously you need data, constant feedback, right? To be able to automate.
That's a good one. Well, okay, so let's put it this way. The grow world is ever evolving and it evolves very, very quickly, kind of like technology. So, as we get feedback, by the time you're getting feedback, normally there's a solution down the pipeline in the works. So a lot of times we are trying to remediate problems that are okay, well, this nutrient doesn't work well with this injector or so on. We've had to take a lot of people off the wrong nutrient, put them on the right one in order to get their irrigation system to work correctly.
Wow. So, no, that's interesting.
I mean, that's just being real. Mm-hmm. Or just trying to preach to people, keep freaking clean.
Yeah.
Because man, you should walk into some places and
we just don't do it if I don't know. Yeah. We don't want to put our name on something that we can't stand behind.
I feel that. Yeah. I feel that 100%.
Yeah, we're OCD and we like to keep it clean, and if the facility doesn't want to run it in a clean way or want to adapt to the situation, then it just won't happen.
No, and I see you guys are nice guys. It's hard for you to even say it. It's like, I don't want to like offend anybody, but it's true because you can't make a quality product in a fucked up area.
Yeah.
And you know, if you look at my facility, we keep it clean, we keep it organized. It's not fucking, we're not trying to show off. It's because that's what it determines. That's what's needed to make the products quality, to make sure that you're not making a dirty product, from food to extract to growing cannabis to whatever the fuck you're doing. Keep it clean, especially, I mean, it's one thing to do whatever the fuck you want in your house. But it's another thing to think that you're going to approach a commercial facility and treat it like that and be dirty and not give a fuck. And shame on anybody that doesn't care about that.
Well, so I know it sounds dumb, but my grandpa always told me, he said, if you can't sign your name next to it, don't fucking do it.
That's great. That's great knowledge.
So
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, I always talk about old mentor of mine that used to say over and over again, he would say, do it right or do it over, as we were working. And it like burnt in my fucking head. Do it right or do it over. And, you know, so many people like don't realize that, and they like overlook that simple shit.
Oh yeah.
So
and a lot of our world is kind of subjective too. So a lot of it is, well, let's call it art. It's functional art. And so with it, we you know, a lot of it is, you know, universal plumbing code for the most part. But whenever we go up with a different valve selection or a different jump or something, sometimes we gotta, you know, move the strut here, whatever. But sometimes what we'll do is we'll like reverse the way we jump, or like set the strut equal distances away, or a lot of stuff. You can't necessarily pre-plan it all before you go up there, like laying all your strut and then doing your jumps down to your room, because you have to land at a certain area or miss this wall or whatever. So really you got to build it as you go. And so what I'm getting at is that you have to think about the best way to do it, keep it clean, and what's the most functional, period.
Well, and Justin said it earlier, is your systems are built to be maintained and to be functional, so it works right. So I'm sure I could just imagine when you're standing there at a wall, you want to be able to reach everything. You want to be, things need to be functional. Things need to be lined up. If you do need to take a piece out to clean it or whatever, remove something, there needs to be room for that. And no, Jesh would absolutely flip over some of your guys' stuff. I
want to see some grows now.
Let's go.
He's super OCD. You got to see what they did right at Sandia up the street. So shout out Sandia. Brent's a good friend of mine. And, you know, they've always really cared about what they were doing. And their facility, that facility we just saw each other at, shows it. You know what I mean? It's, you know, eat off the floor clean, and now has, you know, your controls, which are beautiful and you know, working well if you've, you know, seen how they're producing lately. So
yeah. I mean, the results speaks of it themselves over there at that place.
And you know, I never thought about that, but it only makes sense. It's simple. The better the controls, the better the end product. If the plant is always perfect, you're going to get a perfect, you know, as best as that plant can be.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess if you're not getting enough water, not getting enough whatever, CO2, you know, too much light, too little light, whatever, that's going to show in the effect of, you know, how that plant produces.
Just keeping it in its prime all the time. Yeah. We, like Justin and I always talk, is it's like a dirt bike, you know, you want to keep that thing in its power band. You want to keep that thing just singing. And so, you know, if you load it up as you're coming out of the hole, you know, you don't want to dump too much water on it at first. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we just want to keep that plant right where it wants to be. We just want to keep her singing. We don't want to do anything stupid. So I understand a lot of the people, oh, well, you're not connected, you know, not hand watering, not. But at the same time, I think I care more about that plant because, you know, I'm keeping her where she wants to be. I understand and I know her.
You know, that, you know, no disrespect, but that hippie shit mentality just is not going to last. And it's not, if you want that, you can do that at home. You know what I mean? And you can, and I guess if you want that as a business plan, more power to you. It's just, not feasible for a large scale.
Your
business.
man hours are out the roof.
Yep.
I mean, period.
Which cuts into your margin, which at the end of the day, makes your product either super expensive or you're not making any money off of it.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I guess some people don't do it for the money, but you at least need the money to fucking do it. So
that's exactly right.
So
and to do it
to
properly
each their own.
is another level.
Yeah.
I got one last question. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you.
No,
off.
of course.
Last question.
Cut me off, Jess.
If it's okay, it's okay. If you had to put a number on it, how do you think complexity scales from like your average home grow, garage grow to some of the bigger stuff that you guys have put together? How does the complexity scale? Like, so people get an idea here, like, because I remember growing in my garage and that shit was hard as fuck. You know what I mean? It wasn't easy. There's an art, there's a skill, there's a science to it. How does that get even harder as you scale up twice the size, 4 times the size, 5 times the size?
I got to shout out to a lot of these little local growers that I do know that run their own show. What's the name? Nate does really well. JJ
JJ's
does
World.
really well. Anyways, these guys are putting their time and effort into their home systems. One of the best ones, I mean, period, is Jeff Castillo down the High Lonesome.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, he's got a sexy little system there.
Oh, his personal.
Yeah. What's fun is it's the same exact thing. You just size up the pumps, the mini manifolds. I've
actually seen Jess. I've seen the one you're talking about, and I think he did brag that you had helped him do it.
We had fun with it. I kind of helped him in the first round, and then the guy if
you have that kind of care and you're realizing that the need for it in that small of a personal grow, you're obviously going to do well as you move up and scale up into commercial.
Yeah. Well, like on Jeffrey's side, dude, the guy's a dad of 4 kids, 5 kids.
Yeah.
Sorry.
There's a bunch running around.
There's a bunch of kids.
Fucking Jeff.
I mean, he's running the farm. He's doing tile constantly.
Yeah.
He doesn't have time to really.
Oh, if you see him, he's in his fucking knee pads.
Always.
He's in his San Francisco slippers, bro. And they're not. They're on the knees. They're ready to go, bro.
Always.
No, Jeff's a good guy, man. Yeah, I think I think that the change from home grow to commercial grow is huge, and I think has been the reason a lot of guys are not doing well.
Right.
Like you said, some people have really nice home grows that are amazing and they have professional setups, but a lot of them don't. So
is it more about managing people at that point? Because obviously, like, people have to take care of things. Your team has to grow.
Yeah, you had people like fight you on it, say, no, man, this is how I do it.
Oh,
a couple times. So let's be real.
They're too nice of guys. They don't want to tell no stories. That's cool. That's cool.
I mean,
we all come to agreement. We make it work every way.
We all love the plant as much as somebody likes to say, "Oh, you don't love the plant, or you're not as in tune." Well, no, I learned every freaking aspect, up, down, left, right, sideways. I know everything about this thing. So
the best jobs go when they follow your advice and
not even that. So whenever we show up and they know what they want, and it's what we do, and so they're like, no, you do what you do.
They know what they want and they let you do what you do.
Yeah.
No, I could imagine that. Yeah. So how can people find you? How can people get a hold of you if they want to either follow the art of your layouts and your systems, or get a hold of you for work?
Instagram. We literally filter everything through there. We figure the real or the real. And if they're going to get a hold of us, they're going to get a hold of us.
So what is that Instagram?
Propagation Solutions LLC.
At Propagation Solutions LLC? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
And I think
it'll be in the description of the video.
Yeah, I think it's all.
Are both of you guys pro riders? Or
no,
just you? I heard
not
pro.
No more.
Well, you were.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. That's huge. That's a huge accolade.
We still ride a bunch though.
Yeah.
So that, like I say, BMX brings us to everything. That's how we've met in the first place.
So do you guys have BMX pages too?
Well, just our personals.
Yeah. His BMX on both of our pages.
Yeah. So like we would be at races there in Oregon all around the state, and I see this guy and I'd be racing him. One time I took his ass out, but he come back from a knee surgery and whatnot, and I swooped right under him.
Crashed me.
Oh no.
Yeah.
It was
That's crazy.
actually an accident, but that's how I met him. And anyways, I just always knew that he was in the industry and he had his own stuff going, but that he was kind of a free agent at the time. So whenever I needed help, I could call.
Well, that's cool that you guys linked up. It's hard to find good help. It's hard to find somebody you vibe with, somebody that cares about what you're doing as much as you do. So it seems like you guys got a good team, and I look forward to seeing more systems and more grows. And I wish you guys the best and the success of the company.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll talk soon.